All right. Much love, many blessings. It's your boy Lotus. Let's pick up on Aquarius. This Leo season is hot. And in particular, with getting back to the zodiac signs and the messages, we're in the first quarter. So we have that half moon right now. The energy is really interesting because when we kind of hit that first quarter, we were in Scorpio, and then I think we're transitioning over to Sagittarius. So the emotional disposition of the collective right now is only so much to give. I believe a lot of that has to do with us feeling like there was more that we should have at this time, or we had expectations from the intention. So if in particular, especially when Scorpio is in moon, the part or the deeper part of yourself, your truer self, starts to come out, and how you truly feel starts to come out. So if there's any areas where you may be feeling lack or slighted, or just the lack of life, then you also feel that essence isn't available to give and has to stay with self. So it's been interesting seeing travel and driving and things of that nature during this time. But let's definitely move on to Aquarius, because my point with that is, what are we moving into? What is it that you are driving yourself towards? When we think of moon and Sagittarius, the heart really wants to get moving. And for you, Aquarius, in this Leo season during this time, I feel that my spirit is really calling into awareness to bring focus to what you've created for yourself that has really taken on a life of its own. And it's in a good way, because the things that you've been working towards, the projects that you've been really curating and cultivating, have been really seeding and really been having that return on investment that you've been looking for. And it's been making you feel proud and confident for your stamp that you've been making in the world and within your energetic field around you. You've been feeling like what you create is happening in the way that you want. So this is a very powerful thing for you, and you feel confident in what it is that you can create for yourself. The only thing that this Leo season, I will admit, is bringing out as well, is that there's also a bigger focus to address aspects with self, because it's like it has a lot to do with that 11th house and just what you do for the collective. And if you're giving to yourself in the same way, it's mirroring out right now during this time, because there's a need for you to receive the comforts of the home, is the best way to really put it. But a lot of you, your home space isn't necessarily the most anchored, and this has a lot to do with how you construct your home and how you house your mental thoughts. During this time, there is this illumination that's taking place, where it's like, okay, well, let me kind of come back home, let me enjoy this vacation. But you're returning home, and it's like, okay, well, it's nowhere for me to really relax or get comfortable. So it's almost in essence that the things that you created that give you the happiness and esteem, which is your work and the things that you tie together to make these things come to life for yourself, for everybody else, that's what is giving you your happiness. And it's like, if that wasn't there, you would really be kind of like, whoa, like, I'm really kind of like fucked here. So, you know, in a sense of speaking, it's like this aspect or these projects or these things that you've been putting yourself into, the energy you've been investing into, is why the success is happening for you. But it's time to also mirror that success with yourself. So are you actually looking at yourself? Are you looking at your home? Are you looking at your emotional state? Are you looking at how you're showing up? Because the projects and things are taking on a life of their own, this is happening so that you can detach and actually see that there's no excuse, that these things will function on their own, and it's time for you to focus on yourself, to get yourself matching up with the way that you project out into the world, the way that you show up for others, the way that you created your services for others, the way that you project out into the world for others. You're looking for yourself, and you're trying to see how you can actually apply, if you're actually getting that for yourself as well. And it's not necessarily being reciprocated, but are you actually addressing it? Or are you just doing more of the same, as far as giving more life to something that already has a life of its own, to justify why you don't have time to work on self, why you don't have time to address that longing feeling that you're feeling within your heart and your headspace, and why there's this gap between your third eye. There's a gap It's not hollow, but it's just simply that you're not willing to address it. Yeah, like we said, that when you return home, there's some things that are a little scattered. So it's kind of like you want to be on vacation, but when you have shit to do, it's like, can you really relax? Like, you know, can you really enjoy the peace when there's all types of distractions and white noise going on around you and around your home? There's, in a sense, we want to get a belonging taking place. So how do you find this belonging? It's like when you associate yourself with all the things that you do, and those things take on a life of their own. It's kind of like they've flown the nest. That's why I feel an inversion in here. You know, what you're doing and what you've curated doesn't need you the way it used to. So now you have to find this kind of like repurposing. And what do mothers do when their hens have flown the nest? It's like, is there like this abandonment sensation? So like if we're dealing with the root, like abandonment deposits in the root. It deposits in the root. So when we face abandonment issues, whether it's relationship abandonment or projects not falling through, we deal with abandonment issues. In early childhood, it has a lot to do with how we face those things now. If we deal with abandonment issues, we may self-sabotage when things aren't going our way, or we may even, if something is too good to be true, we may look for ways to undermine it so that we don't have to deal with the getting let down. So there's a lot for you, Aquarius. There's already been this need to kind of like throw self into work and not really necessarily focus on too deeply on the external things that are happening in great detail, because there was already a mirroring within of things that weren't being satisfied. So you had to kind of put yourself into the work that you were doing, and the thing in a lot of your mental things were the only things that were actually showing you success. So now, you know, when we have Leo season, we feel that pleasure, we feel that need and that want to feel jovial and alive. And it's like, hey, it's summer, things are feeling hot. So we want to feel that sensation and that need to actually, what can I enjoy during this time? And it's like, I don't want to be like fake about it. I don't want to be just ignoring the elephant in the room. I want it to actually be legit. Like there's no elephant, there's no shit. This is legit silence. There's no, I'm not staying on a resort, you know, in another country. It's like I might as well just be here in America. What's the difference? All westernized, you know. It's like if I want to have the experience, I don't want to have the simulation. You don't want to be in a simulated vacation. You don't want to be telling yourself that I'm enjoying this because I'm here. You want to be fully enjoying it. And the only way you can fully enjoy it is if your mind and your body are in the same place. You're only mentally somewhere else because the things that aren't fixed and aren't aligned, that aren't matching up with the timeline that you had planned, is not all coordinating. But if it doesn't coordinate, that means it's something within self that you're not syncing up, because you're a time traveler. Aquarius is the time traveler of the zodiac. So if you're not able to get where it is that you want, or when you want, or things aren't happening when you needed them to be, feelings and emotions aren't syncing up with how you physically feel in your body, your physical is here, but your mental and emotional state is in a different present state, then everything is not aligning. And there's a reason that you're not able to bring it into fruition, because that ability comes from a space of authenticity. Their ability to bring your emotional and your mental and have all of these different seemingly scattered but complex things tied together, you're able to bring that gift into harmony because of your ability to be authentically whole within yourself and in your gifts. Your ability to tie all this together has a lot to do with acceptance of self, acceptance of what it is that you do and can do, and what it is that you want for yourself. Outer spirit coming up again. That's a light pull. Definitely has a lot to do with not being alone, but this is also about calling your energy home, making sure that everything that it is that you need be at home. So we're definitely pulling on a bigger picture here, that we've been thinking on that home thing. So this has a lot to do with the root, because when we deal with the root, we deal with the home, we deal with family. So the wombat spirit, we're dealing with these smaller creatures, these creatures that are lower to the ground. So it's time for you to get more grounded. It's time for you to come back lower to the earth, because it's not any creature, any physical creature. We're talking about creatures that are really close to the earth, and others dealing with earth and also dealing with water. So we're trying to get some emotional things moving during this time. I find this really interesting, this be at home, and this coming up again as your heart pool, because, you know, the wombat spirit, be at home, it really just has me thinking big root chakra vibes, big tying things together, big, really just, am I anchored? Am I anchored in what it is that I truly want for myself? Do I have the right things around? Is this a house, or is this a home? The only way you can decide that is if you get out of your head about it and get authentic in your head about it. What doesn't belong here? I feel an inversion. What doesn't belong in your headspace? What doesn't belong in your house space? These are definitely some big things to consider, because Leo is all about truth. It's all about honoring the heart. So we feel heart activations. How can you be authentic in your heart? And how can you bring about the things that you want within your space in a way that is authentic and with grace, not karma or force, or fighting for a need of control? Sometimes when you're not sure if you can get what it is that you want, we may manipulate, or we may have to feel that we have to use subterfuge, verbal and mental subterfuge, to get indirectly to what it is that you want, because in the past when you've been direct, you've been overshadowed or stunted in your projection. You've been projected onto, and your projections were stunted, and you had to concede rather than co-create what it is that you wanted, and it created delays into the true desires that you wanted in the world. But you have to realize that now that there's no need for the subterfuge, the coercion, the manipulation, the double talk, the any of the back dealing deals, because these things block you from being emotionally whole. They block you from showing up for yourself in a way that you can actually get what you want, because you mirror everything that you want out into the world. So when you're not showing up in your fullness, you're projecting out that same lack of fullness into the world. So when you come to get the return on your harvest, you're wondering why it's half-hearted. You're wondering why there's a not fullness in it. You're getting the fruit, but it's not, you would get it on discount if you had to pay for it yourself. And you want the best. You want the best for yourself because you deserve the best. But fear and PTSD, metaphysical PTSD, and traumas to the root, abandonment, people not showing up, people showing up and not energetically showing up to do the things that they promised to do, leave your spirit in conflict, because you're operating from a space where you think you have one thing, but you really don't. So there's a sense of doing a lot of checks with where you belong. Are you feeling this anxiety of belonging because you're around people that you actually think support you and actually don't? Are you feeling this anxiety of belonging because it's time for you to actually get back to something that you're doing? This is really just dependent on you, but the most important thing is you need to be doing that awareness check with self to make sure that you're not attached to something or trying to attach to something that is less than what it is that you deserve. You need to find your home space. You need to be at home. You need to find family. And when you feel that calmness and that resonating feeling, where you feel at peace, you will know that you have all the right elements. You have your tribe. I hope this message is resonating with you, and if you're feeling this resonate within your spirit, make sure to hit that like and that subscribe for all things The Lotus Speaks. I'm really rooting for you. It's really hot today. It's like 90 fucking degrees. But I'm really rooting for you. I really feel like if you take that time and that pause and that divine breath for yourself, that you can really make the most of this Leo season, because Leo is when we feel the most confident and vibrant about what it is we want to take, we want to create in the world. And usually we want to do it in a whole new way that's with excitement and jubilance. So I'm really excited to see what you do for yourself and be authentic with yourself about. Much love, many blessings, and Ashe.